Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the book of Sirach in the Old Testament as it pertains to friends and enemies. The book of Sirach is part of the wisdom tradition, and at this point the Jewish people find themselves immersed in a Greek culture, a world rather foreign to them, and with one that comes with a lot of pressure. Pressure because the Greeks tend to see any civilization besides itself as barbaric, uneducated, things of that nature. And the Jewish people respond normally one of two extremes. You either have the one extreme that rejects all things Greek, will not allow any Hellenization to be a part of its life. And then you have the other side of it, which is absorbed into the Hellenized culture and thereby leaving behind many of the Jewish practices, mores, worldview, relationship with God. Sirach is different. Sirach quite brilliantly finds a middle way between these two extremes by holding on to what is the Jewish way of life, to the relationship with God, the prophets, the great heroes and stories of Israel, while finding modes of expression and identifications within the Greek world. This is most clearly seen in the very figure of wisdom itself. Wisdom is not knowledge, but is this mystical kind of being that is from God, with God, pervades all things, but in particular gives a way of life to those who follow and listen to her. This is very similarly to the Torah, which is from God, for the people of Israel, and guides them on their way of life. So you have here a rather clever and ingenious combining of what Torah is for the Jewish people and wisdom for the Greek people, and in the book of Sirach they become one. This happens most clearly in chapter 24, where wisdom is seen to come from the mouth of God to the people, dwelling especially in Jerusalem, always showing the preferential option for Israel in its relationship to God for all the world's nations. But in chapter 6, and then later on in chapter 12, we see the issue of friends and enemies discussed, and I'd like to begin there for us. Chapter 6, verse 7. When you gain a friend, gain him through testing. Do not trust him hastily. So right away is this notion of don't let anyone in right away. Even people who are friendly and kind, don't jump on board right away saying, we're best friends or we're close. Hold off for a second. Why? Well, Sirach is about to list 4 types of friends. First 3 are disastrous. The 4th one is the one we all want. Here's the first one. For there is a friend who is such at his own convenience, but will not stand by you in your day of trouble. This is really a friendship of pleasure, as Aristotle would name it. One who comes together with you when things are enjoyable and comfortable for them, but if it's going to cost them anything, time, energy, money, they're out. It's an inconvenience. So that's not the type of friend that you want to let in. Second one. There is a friend who changes into an enemy and will disclose a quarrel to your disgrace. This is a person who at first may seem like we have an attraction, a pull to each other. We may seem like we share things, we get along. But the moment there's a disagreement, not only is the disagreement a problem for this type of person, but then they go to other people and tell all about the disagreement, ruining your reputation and tearing you down. What seemed like a friend has turned into an enemy, no longer helping you live with wisdom, helping you live in right relationship with God and in this world, but now tearing you down. Friend turned into enemy. Third one. And there is a friend who is a table companion, but will not stand by you in your day of trouble. In prosperity, he will make himself your equal. But if you are brought low, he will turn against you and will hide himself from your presence. This is the fair-weathered friend. When things are going well, table companion. Think about a friend who will enjoy going to nice restaurants with you, enjoy seeing beautiful theater, maybe enjoy having the leisure to go to an art museum, or take in the best of culture and life. But when things are down and out, you don't have the time, the resources, the ability to enjoy the good things in life, they will not even be seen with you. Think about someone who has a great job, but loses everything and is now bottomed out. Those friends, when you had everything going well for you, are no longer with you. This is another type of friend that Sirach wants to warn us about. Once again, begins as friend, ends as a stranger, won't even show himself to you. So this is Sirach's advice. Keep yourself far from your enemies and be on guard toward your friends. Far from enemies? Okay, I think we know that. But be on guard toward your friends. That's unique. That speaks of some real wisdom of life, of saying, you know what? Too many people began with their best face forward, and in the end, aren't really willing to care for you, will your good, be interested in you living Torah, caring about you in good times and in bad. So what's the fourth type of friend? Well, the fourth type of friend is listed in Sirach chapter 6, verse 14. A faithful friend is a sturdy shelter. He that has one has found a treasure. A sturdy shelter. That image is one that as the winds of life blow by, as the storms of destruction come down, the friendship is sturdy. It remained. It endures in good times and in bad. A faithful friend is an elixir of life, and those who fear the Lord will find him. And this is the key of that ingenious move of Sirach, of taking wisdom sayings and linking it with Torah, with God, with Israel. A faithful friend is an elixir of life, bringing joy to life. And those who fear the Lord will find him. Those who are with God, those who care about the godly ways, those who are set to live out Torah, set to live out wisdom, those people who are living the life that God intends, they will find the sturdy friend. They will not be alone. That's chapter 6. Let's go now to chapter 12 and see what else it offers. Similar message here, chapter 12, verse 8. Very similar message, and one we can take to heart. A friend will not be known in prosperity, nor will an enemy be hidden in adversity. When things are going really well, that's not when you know your friends. See, this is the wisdom. This is the lack of naiveness of Scripture. Right away, Sirach is saying, when things are going well, all sorts of people want to be around you. When you win the lotto, watch out. You're going to all of a sudden have a lot of best friends. You get a raise at work, you get a new job, got a new car, got seats to the newest game, the ballpark. Get your name in the paper as being someone who's worthy, notable, honorable, popular, famous. All of a sudden, you're going to have all sorts of people who claim to be your friend. A friend will not be known at those times. You're not going to know who your friends are at those times. When times are down and out, your adversity, there will be no enemy that is hidden. When things are rough, bad, dark, enemies are going to be left and right. You're going to know exactly who your enemies are. Do not put your enemy next to you. Do not have your enemy sit at your right. Who will pity a snake charmer bitten by a serpent? Interesting. It's saying, if you know who your enemies are, don't have them close to you. Why keep them around? Put them far from you. If you know who's out to get you, who's going to keep you from, or try to tear you down, or be an obstacle or stumbling block to living out wisdom, to living Torah, to being with God. If you know who that is, don't have them around. It's a great image. Who will pity a snake charmer bitten by a serpent? You can imagine being in that Greek culture, the Jewish people seeing all these new things and seeing those snake charmers with the serpent, that snake who they're playing the whistle for. And imagine if that guy playing the whistle for a moment played the wrong note, or for whatever reason, that snake bites him. No one would really be surprised that he was now full of venom, or in a bad way, or that he was bitten by this snake. Why? Because he's made a life out of living with snakes, out of being close to them. Similar to our enemies. If you keep your enemies close, or you keep them about or near you or involved in your life, and you already know they're your enemy, Book of Sirach saying, we shouldn't be too surprised then if your enemy is cause of your destruction, if you get bit by your enemy. Listen to these two images of enemies. An enemy will speak sweetly with his lips, but in his mind he will plan to throw you into a pit. Imagine all the flattery, all the compliments that someone can give you. and we enjoy hearing them, we long to hear them. The enemy, according to Sirach, your enemies will say all these compliments, say all the things you want to hear, but in their heart, in their mind, they're planning to destroy you. Meaning, they're planning to take advantage of you eventually. They're going to wait till the opportunity is right, and then they're going to ultimately serve themselves. That's an enemy who gives compliments. How about this one? An enemy will weep with his eyes, but if he finds an opportunity, his thirstful blood will be insatiable. Weep with his eyes. He will care about what you care about. He will look as if, man, what makes you sad makes me sad. What's causing you heartache is causing me heartache. That's how he'll appear. But really, he's thirsting for the moment he can take advantage. He can come out on top. In the end, he's out for himself. What are these images of Sirach all getting at? They're all kind of saying the same thing, that at first glance, at face value, friends and enemies aren't that easy to tell apart. Enemies may tell you things you want to hear. They may seem to care about the things you care about, but in the end, they may be out for themselves. You may think you have friends. They may want to be with you in the good times. They may share meals with you and go out to great places. But watch out in bad times. When things fall apart, who's going to come to light? You're going to see who your real friends are and who they aren't. This makes me think currently of the Catholic Church's relationship with the media, with the news. No joke, in the last 10, 15 years, the media has not been church-friendly, to say the least. Giving partial stories, seeking out sensationalized witnesses or people to tell stories against the church. The media has no shortage for throwing us under the bus, finding one church member who does something wrong and claiming it to be a global church issue. These certainly have happened, and they're great injustices. But then when Pope Francis was elected, it was interesting to see that major news networks got informed Catholics to speak. They got brilliant and faithful theologians and commentators to unpack and explain what was happening during the conclave. It almost was a shift of tides a little bit, almost as if the news and media were saying, we see the Catholic Church as such an enigma. Instead of us pretending like we know, why don't you help us understand? Then with Pope Francis, beautiful images all across the internet, the news of the tenderness and holiness of Pope Francis. No newspaper is editing his comments, especially the ones that the church must be about forgiveness and tenderness and love and mercy first, before we get into our dogmas and doctrines and morals. It's interesting to see the relationship now, especially in light of this week where Pope Francis is named Times Magazine's Man of the Year. It's interesting to see what this means. Is the church and the news and media enemies? If they were, we should keep them at a distance, not even involve them in our stories. Not even reach out to them. They're enemies. Are they just flattering us and telling us what we want to hear, seeming to care about what we care about, our Pope, the message of love and forgiveness, the gospel? Are they all of a sudden caring about that? But in the end, they're going to hurt us? Perhaps they're enemies, and they're already out to get us, and they've done their damage. Are they friends? Certainly the church is in a low spot, if you look historically, and also the media is starting to help us a little bit with some great images of Pope Francis, giving us a chance to speak, get some of our word out there. I think in the end, the book of Sirach is telling us something simple, and that is wait. I think the wisdom of God here is wait and discern. Let's keep our enemies at arm's distance. The ones we know for sure who are against us, let's keep them far away. Let's not deal with them. But the ones we're not sure at, let's just test, discern. Wait and see what happens with them. Not letting them know the fullness of what's going on until they're shown to be reliable in good times and bad. For we know that as a church, we fear the Lord. We desire to walk by his ways. We want him to lead us. We want him to be at the heart of everything we do. And so those who fear the Lord will find the sturdy shelter of a friendship. May that be the case for the media and the church.